Hegel said that the realm of absolute spirit, the highest achievements of human beings, are three things, because there's three of everything in Hegel: art, religion, and philosophy. Well, Nietzsche believes that he has shown quite conclusively, regardless of whether people believe him or not, that religion and philosophy are gone, they're dead, and that leaves only art. So Nietzsche is going to create a philosophy of culture which says art is the only way out of the labyrinth. We must construct life-giving illusions.
Fyodorov's philosophy removes the perception of resurrection being an act of God's grace, something within God's power alone, and places the ability and the obligation squarely in the hands of certain men. It attempts to abolish both the apocalypse and judgment. If what Fyodorov and his contemporaries called for were achieved, there would be no reason for Christ's birth, much less his return. Man could fashion his own salvation and immortality and create his own eternal kingdom of heaven. The cosmos quest for immortality was indistinguishable from Russian revolutionary thought and the rise of the Soviet Union. Cosmism promoted the ideas that were central to communist goals, namely to conquer nature and create a race of immortal super beings that will rule the universe. The Marxist notion of quote-unquote God-building was a strategy of the early Bolsheviks who believed that communism and the accompanying advance of science would ultimately bestow physical immortality upon its leaders, turning mortals into gods. Among the Bolshevik god-builders was Fyodorov disciple Alexander Bogdanov, part of a rival faction of Lenin that included theosophists Maxim Gorky and Anatoly Lunacharsky, who shared Fyodorov's opinion that the cold mechanistic materialism of Marx and Lenin brought with it the despair of nihilism. Nihilism is what drove men mad, rendering them useless. They yearned for a stronger quote-unquote spiritual force, spiritual as in morale and motivation, not metaphysics, that would reframe hearts and minds for the globalist communist worldview of a new nature and a new world. Bogdanov, considered a sort of Marxist Benjamin Franklin, in addition to being a founder of the Bolshevik Party, was a leading proponent of both Russian cosmism and its related science fiction. Instead of the abolition of religion, which fervent atheist Vladimir Lenin was in a blind fury to force upon the world en masse, Bogdanov wanted to craft a meta-religion, one that accommodates the cosmist communist worldview and is perfectly compatible with science. Their designated leaders would become the divine instruments of global communism. Lenin and his faction wanted everyone to just shut up and accept their alienation, that there is no God. Man is born a blank slate, like a blank sheet of paper, for which society and history wrote upon him his worth and purpose. Men were not made in the image of God. Everyday people were merely a material commodity, cogs in the machine.